Hey there, welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name's Chris, and this is Entei's Inferno. It's a podcast where we talk about the Pokemon hobby from a collector's perspective. Not just the cards, but the culture around them. Today's episode is about a side of the hobby that just never gets talked about online. You want to know why? Because it doesn't photograph well. It doesn't get sent into PSA or BGS to get graded, and it definitely doesn't trend or get viral. Today I want to talk about the moments in the hobby that happen off camera. Because honestly, some of the best parts of collecting live there. Now, if you know anything about me, I actually spent my very first show behind the table as a vendor. So I never walked a show previously as a buyer. I just kind of jumped right into the fire as behind the table. And the reason why that is actually because when I was younger and into the hobby before I got back into it, I'll get really anxious. I never wanted to walk around big crowds of people, and it's definitely overwhelming. So I kind of dove in as I got older and wanted to be on the side that made people comfortable in the hobby on the other side of the table. I didn't want them to feel anxious. I wanted them to be able to have a conversation with me, be really, really open and collector first. So that is something that I really felt was necessary. It was probably the first time I felt a part of the hobby and doing my due diligence to give back to it in a way. Because the difference between online and in person, it's a vibe. So when you scroll on Instagram, you see the end result, the slab, the holy grail, the trade that got completed. But what you don't see is the 45-minute negotiation that got them there, the conversation that built trust along the way, the previous deals that led to this one. At the end of the day, social media shows the trophy, the end result, not the journey to the trophy. And that missing context makes collecting feel more transactional than it really is. Because behind almost every big pickup, there's a relationship story attached to it. Have you ever talked to a vendor? And I know I've done this with a few people, and a lot of people told me not to do it, but it doesn't hurt, is holding cards after they buy them from you. Now, I understand where a lot of vendors are coming from. They don't want to sell a card, let's just say, for $80. And the person's like, listen, can you hold on to me? I'm going to pick it up in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, that card may be worth $100, or vice versa, it may be worth $70. They don't want to deal with the, hey, man, it dropped in price. Can I get it for $10 less now? Or they don't want to feel guilty like, I just lost on a deal. But at the end of the day, you build trust with that. And if I hold a card for somebody, I hope that shows that I respect them enough to do them a favor, that they're going to respect me, or maybe they'll get me next time, or maybe they'll come back to my table or my Instagram and comment on a post or DM me or buy something from a claim sale. One thing you realize quickly at card shows specifically is the hobby is a lot more human than it looks online. And what I mean is you'll see kids trading bulk like it's gold, collectors helping collectors. I've had people at my table do a trade because somebody was looking for something. I didn't have it. They had it in their binder. They didn't care for it. And there they just ended up making the trade right there. That's awesome. I've even seen vendors cutting deals just to see someone happy. I know I've done it. Those moments rarely get posted, but they're the heartbeat of the hobby. I've seen kids light up over $5 cards, more than adults over $500 graded slabs. That perspective resets you really quick. One of my favorite stories about being a vendor is there was this young girl at my very first show, which was at North Jersey Card Show. Shout out to them. And I remember she walked up She had a bald head, which means that her family told me afterwards she was going through cancer and she was fighting the fight. And she had a Rayquaza stuffed animal around her neck. So I asked her, very obviously, is Rayquaza your favorite Pokemon? She responded with, I like Rayquaza, but I really, really like Eevee. Now, I looked through, I have a free pile of cards for kids that I always let people pick from. And I just happened to buy a lot from somebody that walked up to my table before looking to sell. And I vaguely remembered a couple EV cards that were involved in that bulk that I bought. Now, bulk, I mean like Vs and EXs from Sword and Shield era, for example, a couple promo cards. So I gave her the box of the free cards and told her to pick one, but I told her I wanted to look and see if I had something for her. I looked back behind the table at those newly brought in cards. I had about 3 EV cards, a couple Vs and a promo. When I gave these cards to this girl, she lit up like fireworks. It has made me want to be a vendor more than ever, seeing how happy she got. I mean, quickly, I don't want to take too much time on this, but I had another individual come up to my table. It was a mother and son. And the son really wanted to start his slab collection. So he was looking at a couple slabs, and I think there was one that he really liked. I forget exactly which slab it was. I want to say it was the Metagross from Temporal Forces. And it was in a PSA 10, and he thought it was really cool with the snowy background. And I related to that. I was like, this is awesome. It's such a cool card. And we talked a little bit, and I ended up cutting a deal with him, and I gave him that card. Well, he bought it from me, but the mother was very nice, thanked me 1,000 times, and I was like, listen, I just wanted to do this because that's what I'm here for. And that stuck with me, the reason why, because it stuck with them. And they came back to my table 2 or 3 shows later with an entire slab collection. And she and the son wanted to show it off to me. They're like, hey, listen, you got him his first slab, and he's already built a bunch of slabs in his collection. Can he show it to you? And I'm like, absolutely. I'm looking through this. This kid's got nicer slabs than I do. So I was very excited to see that. And it just, there's something special about it. But there's also something special about private deals. Not because they're secret, but because they're built on connection. When someone messages you first about a card, like prior to them going to a show or prior to them putting a claim sale up on social media, that means trust exists. When someone says, I thought of you for this, that hits different than winning an auction because it means your identity as a collector is known and respected. You can't buy that feeling. You earn it through presence and relationships and networking. I mean, the first time that someone offered me a grail privately was mind-blowing and kind of funny, actually. I've had a lot of friends in the hobby that I've made over the years message me when somebody else that maybe I don't follow posted one of my grails on their story. As everybody knows, my name is Entei. Everybody knows that I'm an Entei collector. I love collecting Entei slabs specifically. Even some sealed product like the 3-pack blisters of the legendary beasts, things like that. And I remember this guy sent it over to me. He was like, yo, Entei, you got to get this. It was a PSA 9 Entei Gold Star. And I basically was like, guys, I don't have that kind of cash flow right now to be throwing for a Gold Star these days. And ultimately, I didn't pick it up, but it made for great conversation. I respected the heck out of that person for thinking of me and sending it over my way. And if you follow me on social media right now, you probably have dealt with me in this way. I would hope so. That if I know what you like, if I see it on Instagram, I'm sending it to you instantly. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I thought about you. Or this is a perfect time to pick this up. Or I know this person, I trust this person, I bought from this person before. You should totally hit him up. He might be able to give you maybe $5 off on this because I know you're looking for it. And that networking, I'm very big on this, network equals net worth. It really leads to pickups, and it leads to more moments like that. I mean, some of my favorite hobby moments didn't even involve buying anything. They were just conversations, whether it was in my DMs, whether we're talking artwork of specific cards, talking nostalgia, talking childhood memories tied to Pokemon. You realize quickly, cards are just entry points. The real hobby is the people holding them, the people on the other side of the table, the people on the other side of the phone, or the other side of the YouTube comments, whatever it is. And when you slow down long enough to talk instead of transact, you walk away richer. And by richer, I mean knowledge, even if you didn't buy a single thing or sell a single thing. Another quick story that I have about this, because it just happened so recently, it was one of my favorite moments that has stuck with me right now, is a lot of people don't know this about me. Maybe you do, but I love art. And I love the artwork of cards and things like that, but it stems from me loving to draw. I don't like color. I can't do color very well. I can't paint, that's for sure. But I really like black and white. So a lot of times I'll do sketches or drawings, highlights, shading, things like that. And I had an individual come up to my table who is an artist in New Jersey. And his name is Art Maps on Instagram. Go check him out. Now, this guy, he is actually the artist that does the vendor tags, like the lanyards that people wear, as well as your VIP passes or whatever you get when you enter. And he came up to my table. We're shooting the shit a little bit, talking. And next thing you know, he asks about my artwork. And I showed him one or two things. And he told me some really cool things about how I draw and educated me on color blindness, which that's a whole nother subject, but pretty cool if you ever want to look into it. There's not just one way to be colorblind. Apparently, a lot of people are colorblind, and even certain colors may even just give you a headache, or they might not sit well in your eyes, which I did not know, which is very, very cool. But and he basically gave me a lot of compliments on the way that I draw. Now, you might get compliments from people, family, friends, things like that. And you hear that and you're like, yeah, they liked it. Cool, somebody likes it. But when an artist, now this guy has his master's in fine arts. He's actually a professor, which I found out. And for him to actually give me an analytical answer of why he thinks that my art is good, whether it's the line work or the shading or something like that, to hear it from somebody like that just encourages me more to do it more often. You only experience the hobby digitally. You miss half of it because the hobby isn't just collecting. I mean, it's mainly collecting, but there's a whole community around it. There's stories and relationships. Those things don't algorithm well, but they're what keep people in the hobby long term. It's not necessarily profit. It's not necessarily flips. It's that connection. I mean, I've built so many vendor relationships, vendor, collector. There's people that I'm friends with now that I never thought I would be friends with, probably would have never met if it wasn't for the hobby. So let me just say this. Next time you're scrolling and you see the holy grails, the big trades, the huge mail days, just remember, you're seeing the final chapter, not the full story. Some of the best parts of the hobby happen in conversations, handshake deals, and quiet moments at shows and relationships that build over time. That's the side of the hobby that keeps it human. And honestly, if you've ever had one of those off-camera moments, I'd actually love to hear about it. So please feel free, DM me over on Instagram. That's at Entei's Inferno TCG, because those stories deserve just as much spotlight as the slabs do. All right, that's it. I appreciate you guys being here. If you're still here, thank you. And I'll catch you next episode.